This is Wednesday, January the 27th. This is World History. Well, in France, we know that Napoleon was defeated at Leipzig in what we call the Battle of the Nations. Napoleon will be forced to go into exile on Elba. We know that Louis XVI's brother, Louis XVIII, will be placed on the throne of France by the aristocrats of France. Now, the bourgeoisie had no say, and Louis would not be allowed to rule absolutely. It was unclear then where the real power in France lied. Now, for 100 days, Louis had been forced to flee, but after Napoleon is defeated for the second time, Louis will come back to power. Louis did not really want to rock the boat, and so Louis will try to be as least confrontational as possible. Now, most of the aristocracy in France favored the expulsion of Napoleon's appointees, but most of these appointees that Napoleon had placed were bourgeoisie. And so for every Napoleon appointee who was thrown out of office, the bourgeoisie are going to become more and more critical of Louis XVIII. The aristocracy called for a rollback of law, rollback of government organization and education. These are some of the hallmarks of the age of Napoleon. Now, the group that's going to get hit the hardest by this is going to be the bourgeoisie. In the 1820s, Louis XVIII is going to die, and power is going to shift to Charles X. He is the younger brother of Louis XVIII. Now, Charles wants to call for divine right of the monarchy. Charles believes that the Catholic Church should be protected from retribution. Charles X believes that there should be money, that's retribution, given to the aristocratic families hurt by the Great Fear. The people of Paris are the first to rise up. In July of 1830, they are going to rise up. They're going to put barricades in the roads. They're going to fire on French army troops, and many of the French army troops will not obey their leader because they believe that the people in the streets are right. This is what becomes known as the July Revolution. By the way, this painting here is one of the last paintings of the French revolutionary artist David. Here's a short video about the July Revolution. In July of 1830, the people rise up. Charles is forced to flee, and he will be replaced by his cousin, Louis Philippe. Now, this will be the last of the Bourbon kings. Charles X is the last of the Bourbon kings, and never again will a member of the aristocracy rule over France. Louis Philippe is the king, but he is reminded that the power that he has as king comes from the people. So the bourgeoisie now are firmly in control of French politics. Philippe is seen as different. He dresses like a member of the bourgeoisie. He talks about liberal ideas. He is sometimes referred to as the citizen king. But as the years go on, Louis Philippe is going to become less and less liberal and more conservative. By 1848, again, Paris is beginning to seize. There are people who believe that Louis Philippe is trying to be a dictator. In 1848, the people of France will descend into a new revolt. In time, a socialist by the name of Louis Blanc is going to come to the forefront, and he's going to call for jobs for everyone. Now, fights begin to break out as to how these jobs are going to be paid for. There are many in France who believes it is the right and the duty of the government. There are others who say, no, it isn't. In time, the conservatives, fearing Louis Blanc, will back Louis Napoleon. He's a very distant relative of Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon was conservative, and he had the backing of the Congress. Now, that's the Congress of Vienna. Louis Napoleon will be named leader by the bourgeoisie, and the Second Republic will begin. However, by 1852, Louis Napoleon will declare himself emperor, the Second Republic will end, and the rule of Napoleon III will begin. But the world's beginning to change for Napoleon III. Germany is beginning to consolidate its power. Rivalries between France and Germany will cause havoc for the French economy and a war in the 1880s. Well, this will be a good place for us to stop. We had to pick some names out this morning, and a reminder that tomorrow we will not have the video because that's going to be a day in which we're going to work on our project. And then Friday we're going to be outside on our March for Life.